Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession here on the Avian and Loaded channel on YouTube. I'm your old pal Avian and Loaded, and here we are with three of my all-time favorite Hasbro Marvel Legends figures, and they are all substantially the same figure. They are all on the same body mold. You have in the center the OG. That is Deathlok, which I believe was in the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave 2017, I think, maybe. Possibly 2018. Then to his right, our left, is the X-Force, Uncanny X-Force version of Deathlok when he teamed up with the X-Men's kind of wet work special forces team. So that is why he is wearing the gray X-Force uniform. And then from the Reavers, we have Skull. Bonebreaker's the guy in the tank, right? So I think this is Skullcrusher, if I recall correctly. Yeah, Skullcrusher. And he looks a little different from the other two, but we'll go into that. So Deathlok debuted in the 1970s in Marvel Comics. I want to say it was in the Amazing Adventures anthology title. I could be wrong about that, but it was definitely in an anthology title and drawn by Rich Buckler, an artist primarily remembered for drawing a lot like Jack Kirby and or Neil Adams. He was kind of a Marvel stalwart for many years. They would rely on him, and he always seemed to get the job done and looked the way that Marvel wanted it to look, which was usually like Neil Adams or Jack Kirby. I don't know that Buckler really had... I mean, I guess on Deathlok more than the other comics, he really did kind of shine in his own style, and he also looked really, really good with his pencils because they were inked by Klaus Janson, largely, famous for being one half of the Miller and Janson artistic team that made Daredevil such an amazing book in the late 70s and early 1980s. And Deathlok is, I think, Rich Buckler's signature creation, a cyborg with a metal arm who time travels back from the future to the present, which, you know, back then was the 1970s, early 1980s. And I can remember a couple of appearances that he did really got my attention, or that he made got my attention. One was in the pages of Captain America drawn by Mike Zeck. If I have a favorite Deathlok artist after Rich Buckler and Klaus Janson, it probably would be Mike Zeck in those issues of Captain America. But then also he appeared in the Project Pegasus saga, which was a multi-issue storyline in Marvel 2-in-1, which was the Thing's team-up comic. Every issue, the Thing would team up with a new superhero. And, well, not necessarily new, but with a different superhero in each issue. And the Project Pegasus saga was kind of an early sort of serialized graphic novel kind of thing that they did. I think that was early 80s, could be late 70s, early 80s. Some of the issues were drawn by George Perez, if I recall correctly. And the Thing became enmeshed in some melodrama happening at a government project known as Project Pegasus, and one of the characters that featured in one of the issues was Deathlok in his classic red costume that we see here in the center. At the time that this first Deathlok was produced by Marvel Legends, I think that it was almost, if not a 100% new sculpt. All of these parts were unique. Most of these parts were unique to him. The cybernetic right arm, certainly, and the cyborg hands, and the cybernetic thighs, and maybe the boots had been used on a different character. I'm not 100% sure on that. The torso was definitely new. You see that American flag sculpted on there. That had to be... So this, and also the hole in the chest for his little goo tube there, that all had to be new tooling as well, because there was no character that had that before in Hasbro Marvel Legends. This was one of the 3 times that we saw this futuristic-looking pistol with an extended magazine. He's got a holster that is specifically designed for it, and the other 2 times that we saw it were on this Deathlok and on Skullcrusher back here. They all came with that same belt, holster, and weapon. Put him to the back here for a second and bring the Uncanny X-Force version up. Uncanny X-Force was a popular book there for a while. I've read a lot of that run, and I found it, I mean, it was a very dark book, but it was definitely a fun comic, and utilized Deathlok very well. And for this Uncanny X-Force Deathlok, they even retooled the original Deathlok mold, because instead of the American flag rectangle, there is now sculpted a circle for his X-Force X on his chest, and he also, of course, has the tube there. So they must have had to retool that torso in order to give us that circular X, and you got to kind of give him credit for that, because that would have cost some money, and but it made all the difference in making this figure just look spectacular. One of the greatest things, and in fact, I think this one is kind of superior in this regard. This Deathlok has a lot of paint on his face. That gnarly cyborg face. I mean, he's basically a sentient zombie come back from the future. And there is a living, thinking former soldier in there somewhere who is kind of controlled or controls he has kind of a computer companion in his head that gives him information and that he talks to. But I think if we pull this other one back here, the first one, let's see. Yeah, I don't see. There might be a little bit of shading on there, but it's nothing like, yeah, because the ear is a different color. So there's a little bit of shading on there, but it's nothing approximating the really enormous amount of shading that they gave us on the Uncanny X-Force reissue. I think that would have been, I feel like he might have been an 80 years figure, so he would have come out in, come on, 2019, if I'm correct about that. I feel like that's when the Uncanny X-Force version of Deathlok might have made his appearance. I can't remember if this giant pistol shotgun thing, I can't remember if that actually came with him or not. They did, both of the Deathloks came with like a Gatling gun kind of thing, but it's very unwieldy and oversized, and I don't really like how they look when they're posed with it. So I have like 4 or 5 of those, because I actually have 2 each of the Uncanny X-Force and the regular red costume Deathlok. That's how much I like these figures. I bought 2 of each of them. And I think that this weapon may have come with this Deathlok, but I think it also came with maybe Cable and or Bishop. I guess it's just futuristic enough that they give it to all the time travelers, especially the ones with metal arms. Then there's Skullcrusher. I think he's Skullcrusher. And if you look closely, you can see that he has the same wrist gauntlets, he has the same cybernetic hands, he has the same cybernetic arm and thighs. But what they've added is a new head, which is spectacularly well done and very popular with Insane Clown Posse fans, I would imagine. But it is just kind of a terrifying paint job on the face for Skullcrusher. And then they also added the belt of ammunition and this vest, which is unique to this character. I've never seen them reuse it on another character. It's a very sort of Mad Max future dystopia looking thing with a hubcap on one shoulder and some spikes on the other, and a mag in his pocket there. It's just a really nice sculpt on this vest. It kind of reminds me of the vest that they gave to Gung Ho in the, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd wave of G.I. Joe Classified series. Same sort of retro futuristic dystopic kind of look. They could have put a little more paint on the vest, but if you look really carefully, you can see they did paint the zipper. They did paint that buckle down there. on the far right, our right. Um, they did a nice job differentiating the fact that, he's not Deathlok. I mean, you easily could kit bash another Deathlok because they share so many of the same parts. And I do believe, and I'm not going to take the jacket off, or rather the vest off of Skullcrusher, but I think you still see the bare rectangle on his on the right side of his chest there, because it is indeed the same body mold for all three of these figures. But I think Skullcrusher, if I recall correctly, I did take that vest off at one point. I do think it is a rectangle, so it's not the circle. So he is a reissue of the original Deathlok body and not the X-Force one, which was retooled to have the circle for the X. So again, guys with metal arms, love them. And all three of these guys tick that box. Time travelers, love them. Two of these guys tick that box. The two Deathloks here, time travelers that came back to the modern current day Marvel universe to, try to save the world as heroes are wont to do. And Skullcrusher was part of the Reavers, that evil group, that included Donald Pierce, the guy I think he had a metal arm too. Donald Pierce, and who else was in the Reavers? Lady Deathstrike, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Bonebreaker, the guy who's half tank, half human. And there was another guy too. I can't remember all their names because I actually never read any comic books with the Reavers, but I've watched so many reviews about the Reavers action figures that some of that stuff stuck. But I don't really care. I would just love this Skullcrusher action figure, even if I didn't like comics, if I didn't never heard of the X-Men. I mean, didn't look at this guy. He's absolutely fantastic. Just an absolutely gorgeous action figure. And he's one of those figures that I just want to have because he looks so good. And I probably would feel the same way about the two Deathloks. But I do also have a great deal of nostalgia for Deathlok. And both of these figures, actually all three of these figures, the Hasbro Marvel Legends team just absolutely knocked it out of the park. They are virtually flawless. The changes that I would make in them to improve them are extremely minor. I mean, it would be great if they had some butterfly joints for better articulation at the shoulders and that sort of thing. But if that's the price we pay, not having the butterfly joints in order to have those incredibly well sculpted cybernetic arms, and just the all over, very, very highly polished, highly finished look. These are figures that obviously got a lot of love from the designers, and apparently that love even trickled down to the factory because paint-wise, they're pretty flawless compared to the average Marvel Legend. And I just kind of wanted to celebrate these guys because I love this body. It's amazing to me that we haven't seen more figures on it, and yet it is kind of a specialized design. We need somebody to create some more characters at Marvel with a cybernetic right arm and cybernetic legs and, a hole in their chest for their goo tube and whatever else it takes to get more figures on this body mold. Well, frankly, we're probably never going to see any more figures on this body mold, but I got 3 of them right here and 2 more of them in the displays behind me, to another Uncanny X-Force Deathlok and another original classic Deathlok. So I got 5 of these guys all together, and I'm pretty happy with them. And if you're able to hunt these down, if you see them somewhere in a vintage toy shop or on eBay or Mercari or wherever, and you think they look cool, I'm telling you, they're really effing cool. So if you can afford one, pick one up. All 3 of these guys are great. I'm guessing that Skullcrusher is probably the more expensive because he's an X-Men villain. Deathlok, I think, is a little more niche. I don't know how many people really are familiar with him. Actually, my guess is the X-Force one is probably pricier because it's connected to, X-Men just in general is a more expensive IP for aftermarket prices. But maybe you could get the red one, at a reasonable price. I'm really not sure. I haven't bought one in years. But I think the last one that I bought was the X-Force one, my second X-Force one, and I think that was $20 at a vintage toy shop, and that was probably within the last 3 years or so. So they are out there, and I think that they can be had for a reasonable price if you look around. And I do highly recommend them, either the Uncanny X-Force Deathlok, the original OG Deathlok in the red, or Skullcrusher over here from the Reavers, the enemies of the Uncanny X-Men. That'll do it for this edition of Action Figure Obsession. I'm Avian and Loaded. I appreciate you stopping by my channel. If you like this video or any of my stuff, please hit the thumbs up, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you find out when I'm going to do something else. And I think that's it. Thanks for stopping by on Action Figure Obsession.